Got Paulo Ferreira with us, and he's a writer, a coach, and a consultant on development of organizational wellness, I should say, and organizational culture. He's a board member and representative in Sao Paulo for Nikola Tesla Institute of Brasilia, and author of the book, The Messenger, The Awakening for a New World, the writer of the Sao Paulo Times weekly column, New World, content director and creative director for TV, video, and various communications agencies in Brazil, composer and musician, founder of Wasabi Innovation, author of a blog, Synapse, yeah, and much more. The list is endless, Paulo.
Oh, thank you. I'm I'm not yet very young, so yeah, have some time to do things.
Yeah. So I guess we will start with what your main objectives are at the moment. What's your passion? What's driving you forward at this time?
Yeah. Now what drives me is my work as therapist and...
Oh, yeah, you cut out for a second. Are you back? Good.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
okay.
Start from there again.
Yeah. The main passion and dedication now is the work as therapist and coach, because I truly believe that too often people are looking outward, looking for answers in the external elements, and not doing research inside. The inner aspect is the real door. So this works as a therapist and coach is a one-on-one work with the person to discover, to uncover things that are stopping realization of fulfilling the dreams, of being able to perform their choices. That's exactly the point, because whenever someone looks outside and focus on the external events, external phenomena, minor changes happen, and even good ones. But to sustain the changes is something else entirely. Sure. And the problem arises exactly when you hit an inner door or an inner wall, even if before becoming a door, it is a wall. And then we work first to discover that that wall inside has a door. Find the door and make you cross. That's what we do, exactly. On bringing content to conscience, because most of what our brains do, our minds in everyday life do, is product of unconscious decision and unconscious feelings and all of that. And becoming conscious of the choices, becoming conscious of the why, the reasons, changes everything. So the work as a transpersonal therapist allows the spiritual aspect to come in the play. And that makes a huge difference, because therapy on a agnostic level, let's say, it stops at some points. That transpersonal therapy doesn't have to stop. Yeah. So that's very important. And one of
the layers of the onion, and there's just
exactly
to go, right?
exactly. And one of the things that I found more important in this opportunity of this interview is that I have attended some people in England, some people in the United States and Australia and Canada, because we can do this work online. And this online work, people from Europe and North America are more open to the online work than people in Brazil and other places.
Mhm.
Because, you know, it's a funny thing. Conscience is a non-local phenomenon. Conscience is not localized. It isn't inside your body. That is an assumption that's absolutely absurd. So it is not, it's non-local. We are treating a conscience of a being. So what's the problem where a body is? You know, that makes absolutely no difference. If someone is getting treated on shiatsu, of course you got to be in the same room, but you know, when you're doing conscience work, it's non-local, so it can't be done online. And some of the great results that I have and testimonials that I have on my website are from people doing the work online from England, from United States, several places. And as long as we got a good connection, that's okay. It makes absolutely no difference. You know? That's very important. So yes, that's my main passion. I've worked a lot in communication, and I help some institutions, some universities with creating a welfare programs in these organizations. It's very hard to keep the work with them because they also get to points where corporate interests come across. And what starts with very good intentions too often gets cut off too soon before.
Corporate machine.
Yes, yes. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that leads me on to, you know, we were talking about the Global Freedom Festival and what this could mean. And what are your thoughts on that? I mean, from my perspective, I think we're really on the cusp now. You know, we're getting closer and closer and closer towards that tipping point, the critical mass, where, you know, perhaps all of the structures will dissolve completely in front of our eyes in this lifetime. I really think that it's a kind of now or never thing. And
yeah.
And everything here is seeming to happen in the right moment and synchronistically, and the magic is starting to appear in front of us every day. So, yeah, please tell us a little bit about what your thoughts are on the Global Freedom Festival and its potential.
I think one of the most important things that we are doing in creating the festival is to uncover a way of people operating together and getting things done together without the intervention of a corporation or a central idea with a big organization. There are, in this, at this very moment, all through the world, there are initiatives being born all the time, from people to people. Yeah, exactly what you were referring to. I wrote that on my book. You know, my book was written in 2012, and it was published in 2013. Right. By that time, there were some things that I wrote in the book, and some things that I said to groups of people during the tour about for the publication of the book. So, some of the things I said back then, people just look at me and say, "Well, I don't know."
Yeah,
they were very doubtful that this kind of thing would happen, not because it couldn't happen with some people in some place, but happening all over the world, everywhere, with millions and millions of people. And that was something that I wrote absolutely exactly like this in the book, and I said in several lectures. And I was pretty confident that this was there was no turning back from that, you know. But it just got early, and people just was very doubtful of that. In 2012, the new world not even had begun at
Well,
that
most
moment.
people were doubtful they were even going to see 2013 because of all of the propaganda about the Mayan calendar and everything. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an aspect I responded to in many interviews at that time. Because every interview began with the question, "Are we going to be here afterwards?" It was a kind of it was very interesting because it aroused a lot of interest in the date, but more than that, a lot of interest in what does that mean? What does it mean if the world ends? And just people stop to think about even for a split second. Hey, what if? What am I doing? And this kind of self-questioning uh, did, did very good to humanity. It's in a very funny, strange way that created a minor ripple that created many things.
Yeah.
Out of that, the sense of relief, you could feel it in the air on December 23rd.
Uh-huh.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact. It doesn't matter. So people, some people become aware that they love this mess, even if it is a mess. Yes, our planet is a mess that we did it. Okay, but okay, we loved it. Can we save this?
Sure. Yeah.
That's very important, and people become aware of that. Well, we can do better than that.
Sure.
If we're kind of having another job, so let's do it better. That's kind of important, very important. What happened that so with the Global Freedom Fest, it's I think that all of these initiatives, millions and millions of initiatives around the world, they are kind of a response to that very first ripple.
Yeah.
That was the end of the world. Yes, the end of the world. It was the birth of a new world.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What we are written about at that moment and saying to people, hey, come on, we got to do it anew, and we got to do it right this time, because it's absolutely everything. It's completely wrong. We are doing things for the wrong motives.
Well,
That's
everything is inverted and upside down.
Absolutely, exactly. And the first loyalty of human beings is not to the human race; it's to corporations. That's a shame. That's a serious problem.
Well, it's
because
madness.
You have to be loyal to your own species. Come on, it's the first step. It's the first step.
Yeah.
Yes, and in the 21st century, we are seeing these trends, to take better care of other species, to take better care of dogs and cats and domestical animals, and to take better care of forests, and to take better care of people.
Of each other. Yeah.
Because because suddenly it's not suddenly, but anyway, it seems like that. Suddenly, everyone realizes, hey, why are we doing the things we're doing the way we're doing? It's very strange, and it struck people by that time, by that change. It was very interesting. Very.
There's a couple of quotes I really like, and one of them is that the economy is literally the most dangerous assassin in the world. It's the assassin of the environment and the assassin of humankind and every other species in the world. And the old tribal wisdom that said, only when the world has cut down the last tree and poisoned the last river, will the world understand that it cannot eat money.
Yes. It's a very serious aspect of it, yeah. And we hope we work to avoid that, to get real. Henry David Thoreau wrote about walking on a forest, and he wrote that in I think the ends of the 19th century. He was very ahead of his time. And he wrote that if a man walks the woods just for the pleasure of it, for the enjoyment of living that, being in nature, he will soon be called a lazy, unproductive individual. If the same human being cuts down the whole forest just for profit, he would be called industrious and modern, all good things. So isn't that the ultimate call to egotism? Think of nobody. What, it's absolutely crazy. And that industrial mentality that created the corporate as a monster that we have by the 20th century. That is the first thing that we have to solve. Yeah. That is the first thing that we have to solve, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's on its way, like so many of these movements are. I just want to steer us back a little bit to your background in music, if I may, and
oh, yeah.
bring an add to the Global Freedom Fest, and we can talk. We know very much about the problems, but we're all about now like moving beyond that and searching for the solutions and embedding them into the new paradigm. So yeah, a little bit about your background in with music would be great, Paulo.
Okay, for about almost 30 years, I've played in rock and blues and jam bands. I sing and I play the guitar, and I love to, more than anything, I love improvisational music, like jam. Did you say? Yeah, improvisational music, like jam bands. I absolutely love jam bands. Allman Brothers Band, Gov't Mule, and all of those. So yeah, I have blues bands for more than 20 years, blues rock bands,
right.
And play it here. But Brazilian music is tremendously famous through the world, and over here, audiences for what we would call like jam bands and blues rock are very scarce. It's a very it's a club thing. Half a dozen that knows what you're talking about and what is that tune. So, we did it for the love of the thing, just for the love of the thing.
Yeah.
I kept that for many times, many years. I played in bars and clubs for a time when I was very young. I didn't need any kind of responsibility or money, but soon it became a hobby because I had a family and several things to attend to. And in Brazil, music we have stars that make bunches of money and loads, uncountable, very talented musicians that can't make a living. That's a shame. Country.
That's worldwide, I think, as well. There are many talented musicians who never get a sniff at the exposure they need because they're actually their message is good.
Yes.
As a rule, that seems to be the case,
Yeah. So that relates when we talk about festival, that relates in several levels to me because of the principles, because of the music. That's a passion, absolutely. I was the editor for Music Guide in Brazil for a time too, and because of show festival and show productions, because I work a lot with that. First, producing my own shows because otherwise they wouldn't happen, and after that, working professionally with that. My wife is a very important artistic director here in Brazil. She works worldwide. Has she's been hired to take care of the artistic production aspects of events all through the world. So we are related to all of those activities in several levels. Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. And it says in your bio as well that you worked for the Nikola Tesla Institute of Brasilia.
Yes, the Nikola Tesla Institute was based in Brasilia. Now the main basis is here in São Paulo. I am a counselor for Nikola Tesla Institute, who was founded by the nephew of I don't know the word for that in English. You know, okay. I have to explain to you. Sure. He's not the grandson. He is the grandson of the brother. So okay. What does it mean?
It's
you know.
Great nephew.
Great nephew. Yeah. Thank you very much. That's it. So the thing is, this guy, his name is Boris Petrovich. He was born in Serbia, worked in Germany, and was involved in some research in Russia, in University of Vladivostok, and eventually end up in Brazil with a group of Russian scientists. And over here, he knew some people, and he became aware of the ayahuasca and many other aspects of Brazilian spiritual culture, and decided to stay here and here to create the Nikola Tesla Institute. So he is an inventor. He got access to many of his of Nikola Tesla original files and to many of the inventions, and is working towards reviving the work, you know. And over here in Brazil, it's something very important that he's doing is turning people aware of that subject, all the truth and how Nikola Tesla was cut off by corporate interest. And, you know, that's part of a big warning that the world, humanity has to be aware all of the time, you know, to support human beings so they don't get mashed up by corporations. That's very important. Yeah, that's what I call that's so important, that the first loyalty is to our own species. You know? That's tremendously important.
And do the two collide at all, the science and the music?
Well, I don't know. It's not the same thing, but it's all in the same person. It's all in the same mind, the same spirit. You know, it's all part of me. I just love to do all of those things, yeah. And to be around ideas that create a world. You know, as a kid, I was born in Brazil, and this is a very different country, because it's a country with indigenous traditions mixed up with African traditions and mixed up with Portuguese and Spanish traditions. Very, very based on Christian beliefs. And I was raised by a lady, part of besides my mother, that's my grandmother. My grandmother was absolutely sage, absolutely, you know. And she was deep in Tibetan culture, even in the 60s.
Deep in Latin culture?
Tibetan culture, Tibetan Buddhism.
Okay, yes, yeah. Okay.
That is not very common even now in Brazil.
No,
you can imagine in the 60s, in the 50s or 60s, when she started to uncover the thing and study the thing. And I was partly raised and thought in somewhat a way you would thought a Tibetan kid.
Right.
So it makes my view of the world very strange from the very first beginning. I always felt a complete alien in the world views of Brazilians. You know, I just look around and said things, and people look at me and said, "What are you talking about?" You know. where do you came from? You know, like this kind of things. So when I always had this clear feeling that there was something wrong with the world. But when I was a kid, I used to say that to other kids, and the other kids just look and laugh and oh, okay, you're crazy. That's nothing more to it, you know. And as I was growing and understanding that, yes, I may be crazy, but I'm also right.
Yeah,
I'm wrong. The things are deeply wrong, you know. And once I run into a quote by Jiddu Krishnamurti, and Krishnamurti once said, "It is no measure of good health to be well adapted to a profoundly sick society." I came to tears. I came to tears. And I read that, and I thought, finally, someone said the thing, you know, because it was exactly what I was thinking since I was a kid. So, yeah, that when you bring new ideas with the intention of changing the world, I always relate to that. Is that music? Is that science? Is that festival? Is that writing a book? I always relate to that because I relate to changing the world, please.
Yes.
You know? I was never at home.
That is music to my ears. I feel your pain, Paulo, because I've been there too, you know, the whole marginalized and pushed out of society, having different views, you know, not being normal. And now I feel, you know, uplifted and empowered to meet all of you beautiful people.
Yes.
And realize actually that, you know, finally, fundamentally 100% in the bottom of my stomach, in my soul, that we are right on this, you know, that we can live in a better world, finally, for all of us. And we're on the cusp, brother. We're on the cusp. We're really close. And we just got to keep pushing on. And the Global Freedom Fest may very well be the tipping point. It may very well be the thing that dissolves all the structures and unleashes the tide of love into the world again.
Yes, and a very important aspect is that we are learning how to create all of those things as individuals, working together as a group of individuals, and leaving a footprint and leaving a blueprint and leaving a record of how it's done. Yeah. Because, you know, there's no great documentation of how groups of people create things without the corporate logic. It's very important that we record everything and keep track of everything, so everybody can see, oh, that's how they did it. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it's done. It's very important, you know, because there's no blueprint for that, and there will be no facilitators from mainstream to.
No, they won't be covering.
You know, there's no. Yeah, because, you know, divide to conquer. It's rule number one of the negativity aspect. Divide to conquer. Mm-hmm. It's the most basic of war. Yeah. It's the most basic of conquest. It's the most basic of exploit people. Divide.
We literally were just talking about it. You know, that whole thing of people policing each other is division. You know, if you're saying something different to me,
exactly,
you must be weird and crazy, and you marginalize, you demonize, and therefore you have separation. And people aren't empowered when they're not together and when they're not in full flow with each other.
Absolutely. And institutions from a long time, they stimulate people to judge the other, you know, because once you allow yourself to judge the other, it's done. You're divided.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all it takes. You just get to the point of judging the other, okay, that you are divided. You're not one anymore. It's the only thing that's needed to separate human beings, is to make one to judge the other.
You can strip it right down to the language from things that, you know, in England now, the first question when you meet someone new is, oh, hello, so how are you? Fine, is usually the answer you get, which, you know, generally speaking, most people are not fine.
Yeah.
And then the second question is, what do you do? and that then defines the person, and this first impression, the judgment is formed, right?
Yeah. And it's a very interesting aspect that you're saying, because, you know, you were talking about things that I did and I do in my life. Like, I do music, I do writing, I do science, I do. Yeah, what do you do? What you're talking about? Do you have 5 hours?
Exactly.
You know, because everything that I do or I ever did, full pages. Because I don't have to be in one aspect, in one shell. That's nonsense.
Yeah.
That makes sense only for a corporation wanting to acquire, contract someone. That's only the only place that makes sense, because everyone is multiple, everyone has multiple talents, everyone has many to offer to the world.
Absolutely.
As long as it has a chance to. So what do? Man, I do stuff. Much stuff, you know. But first and foremost, I do love. That's the most important thing.
Love, yeah.
Absolutely. It's the most important thing I do. Everything comes second.
Yeah.
I do love. That's the first aspect of everything, of being human, you know.
Yeah, well, again, that is the power structure is all in fear, based in fear.
Yeah.
The two extreme opposites, the fear and the love. And the love state empowers. The fear state disempowers, you know, and makes you small and gives the power away to these organizations, to these structures, to do untold horrors.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, the first thing about what we're doing in many of these projects is allowing this diversity of individuals from all different walks of life to come together and co-create. Yes. Because we all can learn from each other. We don't need a school. We don't need...
Exactly.
You know, exactly. And one by one, we can master many, many things in our lives.
Yes. And you know, one of the things I've been working lately is creating a workshop that I'll be doing here in Brazil. And I hope I can take this to the Rotterdam community too. It's a workshop. We've been talking about doing this year, maybe next year. We'll see. But I hope I can do it. Yes, it's a workshop based on the 12 kinds of happiness. That's as they are defined in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. The 12 happiness kind of divides for the sake of understanding better the types of happiness that a person can experience in life. And during this workshop, we delve into details of what is for you each one of those 12 faces of happiness, let's say. So we've been talking about music a lot here. So music is a very important thing for many, many people in the world. But it's shocking as it might be for me or you. There are people here in this planet that don't listen to music, don't care a dime about music. It's shocking, I know. It's hard to understand, but it's a fact. And those people don't relate to musical happiness. They relate to other kinds of happiness. Some aspects of happiness, as the musical, they are more personal. They don't have such a great impact to the society. But other parts, other types of happiness have a huge impact. Because you have one of those 12 happiness is power happiness. Yeah. Power happiness is a very serious thing. It's exactly the leverage used against the human race. People who get desperately happy because of power destroy this planet for hundreds, millions of years. That's a problem. So power happiness has to be understood, because people they don't even understand what kind of happiness they feel, they don't even understand why they feel power happiness. They don't know why they want to exert power over the other. And this is not, I'm not talking about top level politicians or CEOs. I'm talking of the average guy on the street. He needs unconsciously of power happiness. He exerts that over other individuals, especially his own family and friends. And he doesn't recognize that this is happening. He is not instrumentalized to recognize what's happening. So if he don't understand what he's doing and why he's doing, how can he stop?
Yeah.
You can't treat something that you don't know exists. So that's the main aspect. That's why
be an awareness. You have to be
yes, you have to understand what's happening. Understand that there is something in you that's been used against yourself without you knowing. That's part of the important part of what we do in this workshop. And we try to take this workshop not only for people beginning this journey to understanding of awakening, but to many people that are into several steps of this journey of self-knowledge, but yet didn't understand these leverages and are victims themselves of some attacks from media, from several parts that come unconscious because they are not aware. They are being leveraged like this, used like this.
Yeah.
So that's very important, and I think and I hope I can take this workshop to Rotterdam soon too.
Yes, please do. We'll be waiting,
It will
anticipating
be.
your arrival.
It will be nice. It will be very nice. Meanwhile, that's my first book is this one, The Messenger. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
a tiny bit closer to the screen for people.
okay.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Okay. Messenger, awakening to a new world.
Yeah. And this is a hard copy you can get anywhere in the world through Amazon. Okay, anywhere that's Amazon, you can acquire that hard copy or ebook. And my second book is also in the making and soon will be released. The first book treats all these aspects, the beginning of this process of awakening with a very simple and straightforward way. The second half of the book is in question Q&A, is questions and answers by people of different backgrounds: Buddhists, Hinduists, Christians, psychologists, scientists, many people that sent me questions and sit-in questioning sessions. And there are very great questions there, and very great because each one of them brought a different perspective to the question. So it opens up a lot. I really like this aspect. People from all walks of life. Yeah.
The more perspectives you have, the more you see, right?
Exactly.
The more grand the vision can become.
Exactly.
That's pretty much all we've got time for at the moment, Paulo. But I would love to just give you an opportunity to share your website with people if they wanted to get in touch with you and perhaps collaborate in the future with projects that you're involved with.
Yes, I will just take a look here. I'm sorry.
That's right. And then I'll put a link on this video for you before we.
Yes, I'll send you the link. The link I use, the page I use for my therapy work is this one: Transpersonal Therapy, strikingly.com.
Okay.
Let me get the other ones here. Just a second.
That was transpersonaltherapystrikingly.com.
Exactly.
Yeah, transpersonaltherapy.strikingly.com. Yeah. Okay.
Let me just get the other one. And the other one is the link for the page about the book, themessenger.strikingly.com.
Perfect. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and these links has links inside of it for Amazon, for understanding about the book and understanding about my work.
Wonderful. Okay. And Paulo, please, let's do this again at some stage. You know, the more interviews we do and put this message out there onto the internet, the more ripples we create, the more people go, hey,
Yes.
in this guy, and, you know, the quicker we can get through this and enjoy heaven on earth.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much. That's wonderful to hear. And let's keep on doing it until everything changes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Thanks so
when
much.
you're gonna stop when everything changes? Then we stop changing and enjoy.
Yes, we enjoy. Yeah. Maybe after a little sleep.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Gratitude.
Thanks.
Gratitude. Bye bye.